What's up, Thrashers, and welcome back once again to the Thrash Maniac 99 YouTube channel, and I am back with another album review, and today, talking about one that perhaps some people wouldn't expect me to talk about, but I thought, you know what, this weekend's kind of a slow weekend in terms of like major releases, so why not fit this one in? I am talking about the latest offering from hard rock, classic heavy metal, whatever you want to call them, legends, Deep Purple with Equal One. This comes out on July 19th on Ear Music, and this is the band's 23rd studio album. And of course, I mean, everybody should know who Deep Purple are. I mean, they're one of the big hard rock pioneers, arguably a pioneer of heavy metal, along with Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath back at the end of the 60s, heading into the 70s out of England. And well, they have a legacy, you know, especially that Mark II lineup from In Rock through, I forget the name of the album that came out after Machine Head. And of course, yeah, lots of lineup changes over the years and some conflicts within, but the lineup we have here is quite an interesting one. This is the Mark IX lineup, so basically the main members that are still there are Ian Gillan's still there on vocals, Roger Glover on bass, and the only original member, Ian Pace on drums, is still there. But you also do have the legendary Don Airey on keyboards, but the guitar player, their first new guitarist since the early 90s. They lost Steve Morse. Now they have Simon McBride, who actually played guitar for a band called Sweet Savage, which was an underrated Nawabum band, but he was in that band during the mid-2000s, and he's by far the youngest member Deep Purple's ever had, as he's like in his mid-40s. So yeah, here we are with Equal One. So now that we got through all that, so really the best way to kind of describe this album, it's a little bit of everything Deep Purple with some interesting moments here and there. Like the opening track, Show Me, definitely feels more geared towards hard rock. Like literally this whole album is more geared towards like 70s hard rock, not really metal at all, but doesn't need to be. After all, even Purple don't even identify as a metal band, even back in the 70s when they were writing heavy material for the time. But Show Me definitely has that more 70s hard rock sound with the melodies, the riff work. Although I will say, well, actually, I'll talk more about this whenever I get to the synopsis of the album, but this song, in terms of, like, cool moments, there's some really cool, like, guitar and synth trade-offs that do lead trade-offs with each other, and that's kind of a thing you get on a good chunk of this album, with the keyboards and the guitars having moments of shine to do some leads, to really add some spice. Let me add some habanero to your fucking chili, you sorry piece of shit. So that's kind of what they were going for, was just like, okay, you want to shred against me? I'll shred against you back on my guitar. Okay, keyboards. Which it does make for some like cool improvisation within. It seems like they improv'd a few of these moments, which that's typical Deep Purple for you. But anyways, as far as like any other standout moments on the entire album that kind of break the mold a little bit, I would say a bit on the side, the following track feels a lot closer to classic Deep Purple. Maybe more towards the Mark III era when you had David Coverdale and Glenn Hughes come in. Kind of has that more mid-70s Purple vibe. Like the riffs have some twang to it, and it just jams. It just flat out jams. And then the shredding solo on here, like, I will just go ahead and say, I don't think there's a bad lead on this entire album. Like, the lead work is flawless on here. Like, Simon, I think, is definitely a very good fit for this band. Like, he's able to showcase a little bit of his own flair, but it still retains that Deep Purple guitar solo spirit to it, which is really, really cool. Now, the song Sharpshooter, if I were to say there's a heavy song on the album, it would probably be this one. Like, the riffs have a little bit more chunk to it, but starts a bit of a trend, and that's the blues influence. Like, there's more bluesiness going on here, but then you get into tracks like Portable Door, swinging grooves, and it feels again like early 70s Deep Purple, but also a little bit of Black Sabbath, like particularly Volume 4, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, like that kind of vibe, because it's got those organs and keyboards just swinging along with the groove. Um, and then throughout most of the rest of the album, you get your basic like classic rocker staples, like tracks like Old Fangled Thing, Pictures of You is kind of like a standard classic rocker. I'm saying nothing is a pretty cool one, though it gets a little bit more bluesy again. And then you get to a track like Lazy Sod, which, yeah, the lyrics and the song titles are kind of odd, but Lazy Sod, I can't lie, this felt like a Stevie Ray Vaughan song, but in a good way. Like those triplet swings and even the lead work feels very much like something Stevie Ray Vaughan would have done. Now you're talking. This one's maybe the fastest song on the album. It goes into this more galloping tempo. No Money to Burn, old classic Purple once again. But then two songs that were a little bit more on the softer side, If I Were You and I'll Catch You, both kind of start off very similar with like more of a subdued vibe, but with beautiful lead melodies. Whereas If I Were You, you get some like bass swings and strings. I'll Catch You focuses more on atmosphere. And it kind of reminds me of something like modern Opeth would do. And the guitar solo on I'll Catch You is just the best lead on the entire album, I would say. And then to the final track, Bleeding Obvious, which was the longest track of the album at about 6 minutes. Start off with this like twin guitar melody that honestly reminded me of Iron Maiden a little bit, but then it goes into more of a bluesy groove. There's some bass runs, you're back to the guitar and Hammond organ trading off of one another, and a cool drum solo to end the entire thing. So, in terms of the songs, like, I don't think there's a bad song on here. Like, it was enjoyable for what it was, like the more hard rock, classic rock kind of vibe. Although, the big problem I had with this album, the mix. Like, the production, like, the recording is really good. Bob Ezrin, legendary producer, produced this album. However, the mix is very uneven at times. Like, especially in the opening track, Show Me, it was definitely apparent that at times, whenever the Hammond organs come in, it would overpower the guitars to the point where I could barely hear what was going on the guitars, because the Hammond organ and even the bass kind of overpowered the guitars at times. So it's hard to pick out standout riffs on here. But overall, I thought this was actually a good album. I wasn't expecting a whole lot out of this, considering I haven't listened to Deep Purple much in a while, but I thought this was a pretty solid album. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. No bad song. It's just the thing that's going to be kind of tough is trying to pick out standout riffs because of the mix at times being very uneven, but it's decent nonetheless. But of course, those are just my opinions. What did you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. Thank you for watching. Keep your horns high and your dreams wet.
Thank you for your patronage.